Motivation is a scam. It shows up when you're lying in bed at 11 p.m. planning your dream life, and vanishes at 6 a.m. when it's time to actually execute. If you are waiting to feel like doing the hard work, you have already lost. Today, we kill your reliance on motivation and build an automated machine of unbreakable discipline. If you're done making excuses for your lack of focus, comment "No more excuses" right now to lock in your commitment. Hit subscribe for weekly frameworks on building mental toughness and peak human performance. Section 1. The illusion of motivation. Look around at the average person today. We live in the most comfortable, hyper-connected era in human history. Yet society is suffering from an epidemic of chronic distraction, brain fog, and unfulfilled potential. Most people spend their lives trapped in a perpetual waiting room. They wait for Monday. They wait for the new year. They wait for an inspiring video or a sudden surge of inspiration to push them out of bed. Here is the cold, hard reality of human psychology. Motivation is an emotion, and emotions are completely unreliable. Relying on motivation to achieve your long-term goals is like trying to build a house on quicksand. When the sun is shining and you feel energized, you build. But the second a storm hits, when you feel tired, stressed, anxious, or uninspired, everything stops. That single flaw is why 95% of people quit their goals before seeing real results. Discipline is the polar opposite. Discipline does not care about your feelings. It does not ask if you slept 8 hours, if your mood is right, or if the weather is nice outside. Discipline is simply the capacity to execute a high-value action, regardless of your emotional state. It is doing what needs to be done, precisely when you least feel like doing it. Section 2. The dopamine hijack. To understand why you struggle with focus, you must understand what modern life has done to your brain chemistry. Your brain operates on a neurochemical called dopamine. Contrary to popular belief, dopamine is not the molecule of pleasure. It is the molecule of anticipation and action. It drives you to seek out rewards. For thousands of years, dopamine was tied directly to survival and hard effort. To get a high dopamine reward, our ancestors had to hunt, gather, build shelter, or solve complex problems. Effort preceded reward. Today, that evolutionary mechanism has been completely inverted. Within 3 seconds of waking up, you can reach for a small glass screen and flood your brain with hyper-stimulating content, instant notifications, social validation, and endless video feeds. You are receiving massive hits of dopamine for zero physical or cognitive effort. This creates a state known as dopamine baseline downregulation. When your brain is constantly inundated with cheap, low-effort stimulation, your baseline drops. The normal, quiet, high-value tasks of real life, reading a dense book, analyzing financial data, writing code, exercising, or building a business, feel agonizingly boring by comparison. Your brain perceives low-stimulation work as a threat to its instant pleasure supply. You do not have a laziness problem. You have a hijacked baseline. Section 3. The boredom barrier and single tasking. If you want to restore your mental edge, you must learn to navigate the boredom barrier. The moment you step away from high-stimulation devices and force yourself to sit in a quiet room with a difficult task, your brain experiences an intense surge of restlessness. It feels like an internal itch telling you to check your phone, open a browser tab, or find a distraction. This restlessness is not failure. It is withdrawal. It is the boundary line between a cheap dopamine brain and a high-focus brain. Most people surrender the second they feel that friction. A disciplined individual recognizes that friction as the exact metric of progress. Boredom is the quiet arena where deep strategy, complex problem-solving, and creative mastery are born. To cross this barrier, you must adopt the rule of radical single-tasking. Multitasking is a neurological lie. What your brain actually does when you try to juggle multiple inputs is rapid task switching. Every time you switch from a spreadsheet to a notification and back to the spreadsheet, your brain incurs a penalty known as attention residue. A portion of your cognitive bandwidth remains stuck on the previous distraction. When you work, eliminate every competing input. Put your phone in another room. Close unnecessary tabs and lock your focus onto one single objective until it is finished. Section 4. Redefining discomfort as fuel. Human biology is programmed to minimize effort and conserve energy. Your brain's primary job is keeping you safe and comfortable. Because of this, Whenever you approach a task that requires intense effort, a heavy workout, a challenging project, or an uncomfortable conversation, your brain releases a signal of resistance. That resistance feels like physical tiredness, mental fog, or sudden rationalizations like, "I'll just handle this tomorrow when I have more energy." The fundamental difference between high achievers and the average majority comes down to how they interpret that signal. The average person interprets resistance as a stop sign. They believe that feeling reluctant means something is wrong or that they aren't in the right state of mind to work. The disciplined person interprets resistance as a compass. They realize that the exact task generating the most mental resistance is usually the exact task that will yield the highest long-term leverage. Discomfort is not a bug in the human operating system. It is the feature that triggers adaptation. Your muscles do not grow by lifting weights that feel light. Your mind does not sharpen by solving problems that feel easy. You must consciously reframe friction. The moment you feel the heavy urge to quit or procrastinate, recognize that precise moment as the threshold where growth occurs. Section 5. Systems over willpower. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to turn their lives around is over-relying on willpower. Willpower is like a phone battery. It is highest in the morning when you wake up fresh, and it degrades with every decision, stressor, and task you encounter throughout the day. If you depend entirely on willpower to eat clean, stay focused, and execute your work at 6 p.m., you will consistently fail because your mental battery will be drained. Discipline is not about having infinite willpower. It is about building systems that make bad habits difficult and good habits automatic. 1. Environment design. You cannot outthink an environment engineered for distraction. If you keep junk food in your pantry, you will eventually eat it. If your phone sits next to your keyboard, you will eventually pick it up. Audit your environment. Remove the friction from the high-value habits you want to build and increase the friction on the destructive habits you want to break. 2. Time blocking. Stop using passive to-do lists that give you the illusion of productivity without accountability. Assign specific time blocks on your calendar for deep work. When a task has a fixed start and end time, you eliminate the cognitive fatigue of deciding what to do next. 3. The 2-minute rule. Friction is highest right at the point of initiation. When faced with a massive, intimidating task, commit to executing it for just 2 minutes. Tell yourself you are completely free to stop after 2 minutes. Breaking that initial inertia is usually all your brain needs to drop into a flow state. Section 6. The identity shift and self-trust. At the deepest level, discipline is an identity issue. You do not rise to the level of your temporary goals. You fall to the level of your core self-identity. As long as you view yourself as a person who is trying to stay focused or trying to stop procrastinating, every single act of discipline requires massive internal friction. You are acting against your perceived nature. You must execute a conscious identity shift. Stop saying, "I'm trying to get up early." Start declaring, "I am a person who values momentum." When your actions align naturally with who you believe you are, discipline stops feeling like a punishment and starts feeling like an automated expression of your standards. This shift is anchored in one core principle: unshakable self-trust. Every time you make a promise to yourself, whether it's reading 10 pages, going for a run, or clearing your inbox, and you follow through, you make a deposit in your self-trust account. Every time you make an excuse, hit snooze, or abandon your word, you make a heavy withdrawal. Most people have a bankrupt self-trust account. They don't believe their own promises because they have spent years breaking them in secret. Rebuilding that trust requires relentless consistency with small commitments. Start small, fulfill your word without exception, and build a reputation with yourself that you execute regardless of circumstances. Section 7. Conclusion and actionable outro. Discipline is not a genetic trait reserved for a chosen few. It is a trainable skill, a psychological muscle that strengthens every time you choose long-term freedom over short-term pleasure. You now understand the mechanics. Strip away cheap dopamine. Embrace the boredom barrier. Design an environment that forces focus. Treat mental friction as proof of growth. The choice is entirely yours. You can close this video, return to comfortable distractions, and stay in the exact same place 6 months from now. Or you can take control of your focus starting right this second. If this video gave you clarity, 1. Hit the like button to help this message reach others who need it. 2. Subscribe to the channel for high-level frameworks on psychology, mindset, and human performance. 3. Share this with someone who is ready to step up their standards. Stop waiting for motivation. Build the discipline.